Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben, the award-winning gardening podcast as voted for by the Grow Your Own magazine and by my followers and by my listeners. I hope that you have all clicked that subscribe button. If you're new to the podcast channel, please do click the subscribe button and then you get notified of all the new podcasts that get launched. And if you're not following me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and TikTok, make sure you look for Gardening with Ben and follow me on all my social medias. So sit back, relax, grab a brew and let's enjoy today's gardening podcast with Ben. Hello and welcome back to Gardening with Ben. Well, we didn't have an episode yesterday. I had a day off from recording, but we're back here now for a brand new episode. So I hope that you're all well and the weather's treating you fine. And yeah, we're back on night shift now, so we won't be down to the allotment possibly till Saturday or Sunday, which is a long break. But there's not that much that needs doing at this time of year on the plot, thankfully. And the weather is starting to turn cooler, but we're getting lots done. We're getting lots done down at the plot. Obviously, the weather's not too cold at the moment. It's a decent autumn up to now, and that's the same as what happened last year. We had a really good autumn, and hence why I managed to get lots done on the plot over the winter period. So it's time for opportunity, really. And one of the main things that I tend to do at this time of year is just take a stock of your allotment, have a look around, go for a detailed walk around with a notepad and pen and write down every little thing that you would like to do on your plot, whether it just be straighten one of those beds up or give that bed put some extra screws in that bed that's falling apart, or that plot needs a bit of a weeding, or it might need some manure added to it to give it a bit more life and energy for growing the vegetables in, or whether it be going round where your fence is, checking that your fence is straight, that it's not falling over. Just have a look around and see what needs doing on your plot. And one of the main things for this time of year is checking on your sheds and your polytunnels and your greenhouses, because during the autumn months the weather will turn bad and we'll start getting more wind, we'll start getting more rain, we'll get a lot more of the elements coming down, and that's the most time when the damage can be caused on the allotments. And that's because people haven't really done the jobs that need doing on the plot. And one of the main things that you can do on your allotment at the moment is, if you've got a polytunnel, go around and check just to see if it's got any splits in it, any tears in it, and make sure you repair it before the winds do start to come, because that one bit of wind could rip off the whole lot of your polytunnel and you could end up losing it. Now, I repaired a lot of my polytunnel last year. It's coming to its end of the life. I keep saying I'm going to replace the polytunnel cover, but it's a massive job and I'm putting it off and putting it off, so I keep repairing it and repairing it. It has lasted me about 10 to 12 years now, which is way over its shelf life. They never should last that long, but I keep repairing it and it's still lasting ever so well. So why replace it if I can repair it exactly? Because it's a lot of money to replace a polytunnel skin. Obviously these cheap polytunnels they don't last long. These are the ones that you can buy for £100. Yes, it's not cheap, but they are cheap, if you get me. They don't last whatsoever. Now, the polytunnel skins that you do need are these UPVC ones, and they're ones that lets the light in but don't let it out and stuff like that, and keep the heat in, which are perfect growing conditions for growing. So them skins are a lot more money to buy, and obviously some of them you have to dig into the ground, which I have to do for mine. You have to do the troughs all the way around the edge, so it's a big job that has to be done. But yeah, I'm staying away from having to do that at the moment. Until it's absolutely destroyed, it's staying on, and I just keep repairing it. You can get the polytunnel skin tape, which is fantastic. It's sticks, it's waterproof, and it holds the polytunnel skin together. Now I've got a few splits on mine on my polytunnel it where the fold lines are. That's where it's tending to rip, so it's quite easy to replace at the moment. Until I start getting some up here on the top, I'm hopeful, like, fingers crossed, we can last another year. I keep saying this every year. I keep crossing my fingers each year, saying, "Please last one more year. Please last one more year," and it does definitely do that. So that's one job that needs doing on the polytunnels. Now, if you've got a greenhouse, I've not got a greenhouse. I've built my own from wood and perspex. But if you've got a greenhouse, a thing what you need to do is you need to go around and check all your clips on your glass. Make sure they're all secured. Make sure they're all fastened well, and make sure that the glass is not loose in any of them. Because again, if the wind gets up, it can blow out one of your glass panes, and once the wind gets inside it, it can dismantle it within seconds. I see so many greenhouses getting destroyed in the wind and the bad weather, and sometimes people have the greenhouses in too much open space. They don't have any protection around them, like trees or stuff like that, to stop the wind from getting hold of the greenhouse too well. So it can easily be lifted and blown away and smashed to pieces, and once that frame blows over and bends, you've lost your greenhouse, and you'll have to end up buying another one. And that's one of the reasons why I made my own, to be honest, because I'd lost sheets of glass, and glass gets smashed and it gets into the soil and everything. So I thought, I'll build my own, and it cost me like £300 to build, but it's huge, it's massive, it's taller than me, which is fantastic because a greenhouse isn't tall enough for me. I'm 6'5", so I built my own, and it's the best thing that I ever did. Yes, it needs a few bits and bobs doing to it this year, but again, it's lasted me 5 years or so, so I've certainly got my money's worth out of it. I'm so pleased with how I've done it. I'm no woodman whatsoever, no DIY person, as you all know from some of my other podcasts that I've talked about with stuff falling over and blowing over after the first few years. But yeah, I built my own, and it's the best thing that I did, and if something breaks on it, it's easy to replace it and get it fixed. So that's what I did. So go around and check all the clips on the glass, make sure they're all secured and fastened in well. And the same goes for the ones that you've got plastic sheets on. They tend to blow out pretty easy. And what I've seen a fantastic lot of people do with these polycarbonate greenhouses is they get some bathroom sealant or any sort of sealant, this rubber sealant, and basically they go around each glass window and use that, and it seals it shut. And my dad, he had issues where the polycarbonate greenhouse, the sheets kept blowing out with the wind because they're easy bendable, and the wind will just blow them out really easy. And he ended up going around making wood, screwing wood to the windows to stop them from blowing out. But this this sealant works a treat. So if you've got a polycarbonate greenhouse, go around and put some sealant around the edges of each window to where the metal frame is, and it will hold the windows in without them blowing out whatsoever. And you'll end up saving yourself a fortune, because again, if you lose a piece of polycarbonate sheeting, you'll need to get some more ordered at the right sizes and the right pieces, and they can blow for miles once the wind gets hold of one of them. Thankfully my dad managed to find all this. They're not blown far, but yeah, that's a little tip for that at the moment. And again, goes for sheds. Make sure they're in good condition. Go around, give them a lick of paint, give them a tidy up, check that everything's working well on them, and just look after them. They do need maintenance and repair. Obviously a good time of year is to get them painted if they're wood, so that they don't rot. And again, when the snow gets hold of it and stuff like that, it can make it rot faster. And make sure the roof's in good condition and the felt's on, just to give it that protection really, and everything that's needed. So that's what I tend to do over the winter period, and that's what I'm going to be doing this winter. Spending my time getting all the shed revamped, retidied, redone up, everything stripped out. I'm going to give it a brand new look for next year. It certainly needs it. The framework's fine. The framework's fantastic. Yes, I might repair it in a couple of years' time, but it's doing its job at the moment. I get a few drips of water through, but oh well, a few drips doesn't hurt. It waters the plants. But yeah, that is one of the most important things to do at this time of year in the winter. If you don't look after stuff, it won't last. And that's what I've learned in the past. If you don't put the effort in to keep things looked after, they won't last whatsoever. So doing that extra 10 minutes work, just going around checking stuff, is in good condition, then it will last you a lifetime and last you a lot longer and save you a lot of money in the long run, because greenhouses aren't cheap, polytunnels aren't cheap, sheds aren't cheap. It's all expense, and what you could spend on £10 on some clips or on some polytunnel tape just to give it that extra bit of support, it will save you a lot of money in the long term. So that is basically what we do over the winter period with our furniture, and I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful and given you some tips. Like I said, with that polycarbonate greenhouse tip is probably the best one. Put silicone seal all the way around your windows to give them that extra protection. So that has been your podcast for today. I hope you've not missed me too much since not doing an episode yesterday. But until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep gardening, and keep listening to Gardening with Ben's podcasts. Thank you for listening to today's Gardening with Ben's podcast. I hope that you've enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do click that subscribe button, and feel free to share it as well on your Instagram stories. All you have to do if you're listening on Spotify is click the share button, and you can share it straight to your Instagram story for all your followers to listen to, and help build my listeners up as well and get more people listening to it. Feel free to check out all my social medias: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and TikTok. Yes, I'm on TikTok. Go check it out. Check out my dancing. Gardening with Ben. And check out the link as well in the description of this podcast, where you can check out my gardening t-shirt shop, where I sell funny t-shirts with all different funny logos and designs on. And feel free to support me by purchasing one, and all the money obviously goes back into my allotment, where I can share more gardening tips with you all. So until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep gardening, and keep listening to Gardening with Ben's podcast.